I was wrong in doing what I did.
No, no! No! Are you listening?
Spotting a monster can be difficult because a lot of these toxic people, these abusers, they're very good at hiding who they are. For example, they could be 90% garbage and 10% human. The human part sits on top of that 90% of garbage. And eventually, in the relationship, just like in real life, the surface will start to crack and erode and sometimes dissolve. And what ends up happening is you're left with that 90% of garbage, and that 10% you once saw as redeeming is now gone. And what's revealed is the monster beneath. If you've ever met anyone and they're extremely nice to you when you first meet them, they're happy, they're giggly, love bombing you, that's a warning sign. Lorne is a lot like that, giggling and look how nice. I know when he's talking to Emma, no, let's get away from the sex talk. He tries to play like he's righteous. He tries to play like he's shy and he's cute, and in reality, we know that's the 10% we talked about. Those are things he's learned. That's learned behavior. When the shy and the happy doesn't work, think about in school. The first time you spoke to someone of the opposite sex that you really liked, not in 5th or 6th grade, but you were usually very nervous, very excited, and that energy would come out. And it could come out as cute, or it could come out as awkward, but it's gonna come out. Now, the difference between that and Lorne is going to project that out. He's going to realize what he's feeling, he's going to judge how they're reacting, and he's going to manipulate whatever energy he's giving off to go in the direction he wants, to get what he wants. It's obvious he has no idea how to talk to women. He is a nerd, a geek. I don't want to say nerd or a geek because that makes him sound smart. He's just awkward. And the way he talks sometimes just not appropriate. And the things he says, there are so many examples. I'm not going to do a Lorne. I don't remember. But I remember everything you did. His voice, his inflection, his choice of words. Absolutely zero idea how to talk to someone of the opposite sex. Now, I think Lorne, he would befriend people, try to befriend other guys, but only if those other guys had access to women. A prime example, when I was in the marketing team, I was the marketing director of the American Fight League. We had just been on the cover of Tap Out. We had been on TV. We'd been on HDNet. We were running local radio station events. While we were there, we were getting invited to VIP rooms for these clubs, and there was this one thing, it's pretty prestigious. It was a traveling, I don't want to say rave, it was a traveling club. Bobby Lashley was with us. Bobby had signed with us. So he was out there, and he would have girls lined up, and he would say, tag, and the next one would come in. It was ridiculous. But we were going to all these clubs. The people, you have no idea how many people were trying to buddy up to me or John or BJ, just buddying up to us, trying to get in. I didn't want to go there. I didn't. I was married, but we had to make an appearance. So I went in there, talked to a few people, sat down, tried to make myself invisible, and I saw some of the people that had made it in, and they were like flies buzzing around Bobby as he went through all of these women. They were trying to catch the ones that were bouncing off of him because he was just deflecting them. They were trying to catch them. They wanted to be around his fame. They wanted to be in his orbit, in his presence. Lorne, going through school, I'm sure wanted to be in the orbit of the jocks, the popular kids. I just can't see them, and I know you can't either, see them wanting to spend any time with him. Your social status would be lowered immediately. Why are you hanging around that creepo? And I'm sure Lorne felt the dejection, but he didn't learn, and he continued to try to love bomb everyone. There's an American Dad episode where Steve and his friends try to find a table to sit at the lunchroom. And they get all the way down to the point where it's the left-handed kids and the stinker table. These younger kids who just play pranks. And they eventually have to sit by the bathroom and the garbage because they just don't fit in. Lorne sat beside the bathroom and the garbage, I guarantee. You had those friends when you were growing up. You had those kids. They would come over, they'd sit down at the table, and they'd clear the whole thing out. Or they'd come over, sit down at the table, and wide-eyed just tell stories, lies about what they were doing. There was a huge brawl in high school. True ends, you can figure out what the N stood for. And there was this one white dude, he was part of another gang. I think it was Northside Posse, can't even remember. He's out smoking a cigarette, because you used to be able to do that when you were 16 or older. We're looking out the window, I'm in Miss Tucker's art class, and I see this kid get hit in the head with a trash can, like a big, sturdy metal trash can you'd see in a hardcore wrestling match. Miss Tucker, I'll never forget it. She's looking out the window. She turns around. Sean, don't you... I was already gone. I was already outside. It was me and about 5 other guys, and I told you, I was tired of being bullied. And I would just snap when I saw someone bullying somebody else. We went out there, and all hell broke loose. So I come back in the cafeteria, because I'm trying to hide, because the security guards and everybody else was coming out there. Now keep in mind, I'm one of the popular kids, so this is not something I was very proud of at the time. My hand was bleeding. And in comes JP and somebody else. Can't remember, maybe it was Dan. They came in and sat down at the table, and they were telling this story that JP jumped off the 2nd floor onto a group of these guys, and I'm just looking at him like, dude, I was over there. I was fighting. Robbie was fighting like 3 of them by the bus. He was a big football player. He was going crazy. You were nowhere to be seen. But they would come in wide-eyed, yeah, it happened, because they had an image to uphold. I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to get in trouble. And I think the statute of limitations is up. I mean, looking back, I had hurt some people, and I feel really bad now. But here they came in, telling the story that they were involved in it because they had heard everybody else's story. They forgot who they were talking to. I'm sure Lorne told a bunch of this bullshit to people, and forgot his lies, forgot he was actually there, forgot where he got the story from. And he's telling all this crap, just like what he tells these catfish women. And monsters do that. They have that image they want to project, and they'll do anything to keep it. Lorne wants to be this cool guy. He wants to be the guy that owns his own house. Sure, y'all come out, y'all want to. You can come on out and have some beers down at my house, meaning his dilapidated trailer on West Ridge Road. But that's what monsters do. They want to project it, and they want you to see it, and they want you to consume it. And if you don't consume it, the manipulation starts again. The best way to spot a monster is not how they interact with you. It's how they interact with others. If you have a peripheral friend, a friend of a friend, and they come around, they're going to keep going. They're going to network out. They're going to branch out because they eventually use up whatever friend they're clinging to. And they need a new one to jump to, just like a parasite. You watch them. You watch how they approach the others. Watch how they approach the people they're meeting for the first time. Then watch how they approach those they already know. Now, it's normal for people to lose that excitement. You become familiar. You're now talking about day-to-day things, and you've already learned about each other. The initial excitement meeting people, for me, it lasts about 30 seconds. Just, nice to meet you. Oh, who are you? Unless I find you interesting, and then I'm going to basically interview you, because I like to learn about people. God help you guys if I ever meet any of you, because I'm going to want to know your backstory. I love to hear how people grew up. That's all stuff that you want to tell. Lorne, he's not going to have any of those stories. It's going to be surface shit. It's going to be things that don't really mean anything, sound like they mean something. Empty calories is what I call it, an empty calorie conversation. You think you're consuming a lot. You think you're getting a lot, but when you're done, you're like, what did I really learn? What the hell was even said? Did I learn anything about that person? We were talking for 30 minutes and I know nothing more about them than when we first started. So you observe and you pay attention to how they act with other people. And then when they approach you, you'll know, okay, I'm getting the same treatment. Or if they treat you differently, or if they're treating everyone else differently, they may just be a skilled conversationalist. They may be proper businessmen, but when they shake your hand, they either look away or they're wide-eyed, that sociopath stare when they're shaking your hand. If they're overly concentrated on your eyes and you just feel like they're trying to look a hole in your skull, that's usually a sign that they're wanting to take charge of that situation. They're wanting to establish dominance. When you walk past somebody, if they turn and they put their back to you, it's usually a sign of weakness. I'm just saying socially, it's a sign of weakness. It's also like women presenting themselves to men. And it's really weird. They try to equate animal behavior to humans. Lorne is an animal, we know that. I wasn't there when he first met Emma and I guess who was supposed to be Dan. I wasn't there when he first met them. I didn't see, we saw some of their conversation, but I didn't see the actual interaction when they first met. I would imagine Lorne was looking down, looking around. The issue that Lorne has is that his first interaction is over the phone. And then it becomes rage, and he has all of that baggage. And again, I think a monster like him sometimes doesn't want these people to come out. And if he does, subconsciously, it may be so he can exact revenge and say everything that he said on the phone to their face. He wants to see that emotion, that despair, that sorrow that he's causing, because he is a monster. Once you meet a monster, you'll never forget it. These catfish women, even though they're fake, they're real people, and they'll never forget this monster. I'm just Tiffany, playing multiple characters. Amber, all of these people that dealt with him, they're going to have, and I believe this, a little bit of PTSD. And they're going to want to step away because it is traumatic to talk to somebody like this. And he's going to talk to people in real life like this as long as he feels in some kind of position that he considers dominant. He's going to push and get angry. And when he hits that wall, either a man looking at him, punking him out, turning him into a clown, or a woman finally having enough and say, I'm leaving, that's when he'll stop. That's when this act will go away and a new act will come in. Act 2, The Empire Strikes Back of Lorne, where it's the darkest moment. Please come back. And then Return of the Jedi. It's going to go back to the happiness. It's going to go back to love bombing. And then it's just going to go back to Empire Strikes Back again. Another dark time. It's never going to end because monsters, they go in cycles. They usually know how far they can push it and how far they need to go to keep it going, to keep the con going, to keep the grift going. And I said, Lorne is an emotional grifter. Another thing you can watch out for when you're watching somebody's interaction that's in your circle of friends, maybe not even somebody you talk to, but who talks to your friends, who's going to have an impact on them, which in turn will have an impact on you. Watch how much they push for what they want to do. What are we going to do now? I want to go to this bar. No, there's this other bar. Watch how hard they try to sell. Watch how hard they try to push. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes you're looking at them like, geez, man, would you just shut up? Most of us want to go to this other bar, so why don't we just go there? They're going to keep pushing and pushing. And now you know they're going to do anything that they need to do to get their way. They're going to sell it as the greatest thing ever. They're not just going to say, look, I really want to go here. Let's go here. Okay, you all don't want to go. Let's compromise. They're going to keep going. They're going to change their pitch. They are literally emotional used car salesmen. They're manipulation tactics just to get what they want. I want to go out to dinner tonight, Lorne. Well, no, we got food here. And if that doesn't work, Lorne's going to switch to, I tell you what I'm going to do tonight for you, baby. I'm going to cook for you. You just sit down on the couch and put your feet up. It wasn't planned. It became a tool. See, I had planned this all along. I didn't want to let you know I was going to wait. But you mentioned that you want to go out to eat. So I was going to tell you I was going to cook for you. Well, what do we have, Lorne? Well, we got this, and this. Oh, well, my favorite food is this. Because these people wouldn't ask. They wouldn't ask at all. My wife, or ex-wife, loves salad. So I made this huge bowl of salad. I made my own vinaigrette. I looked all this up. Now, she didn't get home for another 5 hours because they were delayed. She was with the kids in Ohio. But when she got home, she appreciated it. She didn't like the vinaigrette. I don't blame her. I didn't know how to make it. But I did it because I cared about her. I wanted to do something nice for her. Lorne would not do this because he doesn't see the value of doing anything nice. These monsters, they don't see the value of doing anything nice. It doesn't get them anything. It gets them a thank you and they move on. And he would bring that up repeatedly. Remember that time I made you this? Remember that time I did this? He would bring it up because he would want another thank you for it. He would want to keep bringing up the one thing he did so he doesn't have to do anything else because he doesn't get anything from it. Some guys do that stuff because they want sex. And when I was younger, I did the same thing. But Lorne, he's not having sex. That's enough of the sex talk. He's not having sex. It's a control thing. Look how great I am. It's an ego thing. That's typical of monsters. Have you ever seen in public someone who's doing PDAs, public displays of affection, a little too much? Especially in front of audiences so that everybody's looking at the female as he's showering his love on her. Because he wants her to feel like everybody else in the room is jealous. And look, oh, I'm embarrassing her, it's so cute. But in reality, maybe the woman's thinking, get the fuck off me, you were just yelling at me in the car. I've seen couples, you've seen them, when you're out to dinner and they look like they're having this romantic dinner. And then you go out and you see the man with his finger flapping in the air, screaming, and you think, what an asshole. What an asshole. You just ruined the entire night. I'm going to tell you a quick story and then I'm going to end this. I was at Kings Island. I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but I learned something here, that things aren't always as they seem. And I judged this man as a monster, and I was wrong. He was up in this woman's face with his hands, and it looked to me like he was overly emotional, and I thought, I'm going to go stomp this dude out because he has given it to this woman. As I got closer, I'm like, holy shit, that is sign language. And she has a look of love on her face. This man, because I knew a little bit of sign language, this man was telling her how much he loved her and he was enjoying the day with her, and he was showing emotion with his hands, and I thought he was a monster. So appearances can be deceiving, and I learned a whole lot. And it actually made me feel like an asshole afterwards. But with people like Lorne, your first judgment is usually correct. Just look for the warning signs. Love bombing, selling things that they want to do, manipulating, doing one thing for you and reminding you, hey man, I'm the guy that gave you the beer 4 parties ago. They'll never let it go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Rawr.
Hang on, I can't even catch my breath. Hang on.
What?